Hello, friends. Welcome again to this series on sex education perverts our children. Now we continue to approach the topic of gender ideology within comprehensive sex education, CSE. The basis of the arguments we explained before in the previous video, we can conclude that gender, the word gender as it's used by its promoters, is not a scientific or real term, but an ideological one, a political one. I don't say there are two genders, but say there are only two sexes. I can't force anybody to say that, but I'm asking you to use proper language, because the way they use gender is totally an ideological term, not a real term. Sex is the correct term, and there are only two sexes, male and female. So that should be very clear. Now, the sex of a person cannot be changed. Uh, it is quantified genetically since conception. XX for females and XY for males. You can only change the appearance of a person, but not his or her sex. That ought to be clear also. If a person believes he or she is of a different sex from his different from his real sex, that person is emotionally confused and suffers from sexual identity disorder, or gender dysphoria as they call it. That person should be lovingly, respectfully helped with prayer and authentic mental therapy, and not deceived with so-called sex changes that can be harmful for life. Puberty blockers and cross hormones are harmful for life. This is what the people that are engaged in so-called sex changes do to minors and then to teens. Puberty is a very natural event in a person's life and should not be trampled with. Cross hormones refers to giving estrogen, which is a feminine hormone, to boys to feminize them, and testosterone, which is a male hormone, to girls in order to make him masculine. Both of these chemicals are for life, and they are harmful. They can cause in children and teens, among other harms, diabetes, damage to the bones, damage to the brain. Now, it should be taken into consideration that the brain of a person is not fully developed until the person is 25 years old. So you can imagine the damage that it can cause prior to that. And that's the most awful thing, is a mutilation of sex organs that are healthy, castration in the case of teens, boys, and double mastectomies, double extraction of the breasts in the case of girls that are teens. So this is really insane and harmful, really child abuse, we can say. Now we address the issue of the battle against comprehensive sex education in Latin America. I do so because I work with being in charge of Hispanic education for Humana International. I work with Hispanics in Latin America and also in the United States and Spain. We only have a couple of examples of what's going on regarding comprehensive sex education in this continent. We have the case of Ecuador, a very sad case. The Constitutional Court recently recognized rights of trans children. It established new guidelines for trans children in schools. The schools must recognize, they say, accept, promote, and accompany transgender children. Something really, really awful. In other words, what they are saying is that trans boys can use girls' bathrooms, and also they can use girls' uniforms and participate in girls' sports and use girls' names. Really insane. And the same thing in reverse for trans girls with respect to boys. That's why the church, parents, and pro-family groups are strongly opposed to this insanity. Now we have the case in Peru. Thanks to God, is a positive case. Recently, the government approved a law prohibiting the sexualization of children in the media, in the schools, now in public bathrooms. They must be used only by persons of the corresponding sex. So that's very good. In Argentina, we also have a positive answer from President Milei, who is against this ideology totally. He has prohibited in his government and in public schools. He has denounced it at the WE meeting in Davos in January 2025. The WEF stands for the World Economic Forum, an anti-life globalist organization that we denounce in our series of videos about globalism and also in the UN 2030 agenda. So he was very courageous in doing so at that meeting. Milei has been joined by President Trump and other countries' leaders in opposing comprehensive sex education. Now we speak about the battle against comprehensive sex education in the United States. President Trump has signed executive orders regarding this issue, saying, and one of them, there are only two sexes, forbidding sex change for minors, no federal money for this purpose, and for trash science, the bad science that supposedly is the basis for all this gender LGBT ideology. Also, in one of these executive orders, recognizes parental rights regarding comprehensive sex education, especially the one that includes gender ideologies. So parents have a say on that and might be able to pull their sons and daughters out of these classes, and also to be notified if their child is thinking about a gender transition. In some states, unfortunately, this is not happening. Another executive order forbids sex change for members of the armed forces and has ordered the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, to investigate hospitals and other places which perform sex changes in order to, if not prohibit, if they cannot prohibit it, at least to not to receive federal money because of doing that, or they just stop doing it. It has forbidden trans men in women's sports and in bathroom and showers that where only girls can be at. All of this is very common sense. Trump, of course, cannot apply all these executive orders, EOs, in the entire country. There are public schools in blue states that are, say, run by Democrats that unfortunately do not obey these executive orders. They don't care about them. But there are another 27 states that have applied them, and that's a good step forward. Of course, Congress, the federal Congress, must approve a law in order to apply these executive orders nationwide. But unfortunately, we can expect that Democrats, which are all for the ideology of gender, will oppose it, unfortunately. Now, speaking about this battle in the United States, beyond what Trump has done, is Planned Parenthood, the abortion giant of this country, not only this ideology of gender, it promotes sex changes for the young, sells puberty blockers and cross hormones. We spoke about those already in a so-called clinics without medical supervision, either mental or physical, which is really imprudent. Is pushing gender ideology through his sex education, is evil sex education, is comprehensive sex education. It should be noted that Planned Parenthood receives close to $800 million yearly from taxpayers, although the big beautiful bill that is now law is prohibiting some of this money to go to the coffers of Planned Parenthood. Now we speak about what can we do against comprehensive sex education. First of all, parents must unite to defend their children and their rights as parents. Parental rights, remember, precede the state and the school system because they are natural rights given by God, not by the government. They must fight against comprehensive sex education laws and programs. They must remove their children from these classes or schools and not allow their children in schools-based clinics. In these so-called clinics, they give contraceptives to children, make abortion referrals, and also, of course, promote the gender ideology. They must also, and this is a call for everybody, remove bad politicians, teachers, school board members, etc., that are promoting this nonsense, and elect good ones, or run for elected position yourself if you have the vocation resources to do so. If you are a teacher, please do not teach this garbage. Be courageous. And parents, help these teachers that may lose their jobs because of making a stand. Also, this is a call for everybody, not just parents, but especially parents. Send letters, faxes, emails, calls to elected officials and the media. Use social media yourself to spread this information about how harmful sex education is, and especially when it is mixing with gender ideology. Also, in your country, remove the United Nations or their programs from your country. If you cannot remove the UN, at least, or the OAS, the Organization of American States, in the case of the American continent. And if you cannot do so, at least their programs. Or if you can, create your own schools or do homeschooling. Homeschooling has been very effective. Don't worry about the socialization of your children, because homeschoolers get together and form communities. There are programs to help you do so, at least in the United States, and I think also in other countries. Ask your church to denounce and alert the congregation about this issue. And of course, pray unceasingly, as St. Paul calls us to do in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 17 through 18. And also, if we go back to the Old Testament, we see in 2 Chronicles 7:14 how God calls his people to come to him, I'm paraphrasing, in humility and in repentance and in prayer. And if they do so, he promises to clean their land. Now, the cleaning here, of course, refers to a moral and spiritual cleansing. So, prayer can change the course of nations and the world if enough people get together and pray with their hearts. And whoever can do fasting also, that will help also defeat this evil that eventually comes from the evil one. So let us unite in action and prayer, and let us inform ourselves to be able to fight this fight for the sake of our children. So this is what I wanted to share with you in this sets of videos regarding the issue of how sex education perverts our children. So we have a lot to do. We have a lot of work cut off for us, ahead of us to do, that God calls us to do. We have God on our side, and with prayer and his grace, we can triumph. There you see again, once again, our contact info on your screen. Please visit our YouTube channel. I already explained what we have there, our website. You can contact me for the course and other venues of information through my email address at the bottom of the screen on the center. And also, I recommend a lot the all English website of Human Life International, HLI.org, at the right on the bottom of your screen. Thank you for watching this series. I invite you to watch the next series, which is going to talk about how to teach chastity to our children and how to promote chastity among young adults. God bless you, and I'll see you again.